I'm in shock, and I really need some advice right now. Me, male 40, and my wife, female 37, have been married for 10 years, and we recently celebrated our anniversary. We have two wonderful kids together. Since the beginning of the year, things have been off between us. She's been acting strangely since the beginning of the year. Irritable, avoiding me, and we haven't been intimate much. Some days she's happy, some others fully irritated. Sometimes she's a great mother to our kids. Some other times she wishes they had never been born. Recently, I had to go to the urologist for a urinary tract infection, and the test suggested it might be an STD. This was a huge shock because I've never been with anyone other than my wife since we started dating. Right now, she's away at a so-called business seminar, of which I talked about in a different post. She has been keeping diaries for over a decade, and out of desperation, I read them for the first time ever. It turns out she's been having multiple intimacy partners for the past 2 years. In particular, there was one affair that lasted over a year, and it seems part of her irritability was due to her lover moving on to someone else. I also discovered she has a hidden Tinder account too, and been meeting with other men regularly. I am devastated beyond words. I feel lost and unsure of what to do, especially since we have 2 little kids who mean the world to me. I need some advice on how to handle this situation. Should I confront her immediately? Should I consult a lawyer first? How do I even begin to process this betrayal and protect my kids through all of this? Thank you for any guidance you can offer in this incredibly difficult time. Additional information from OP. Thank you for all the comments. As everyone's suggesting, I'll try to consult discreetly with a lawyer ASAP, gather as much evidence as I can, get the STD treated, and as painful as it is, perform paternity tests on my kids. To be honest, I'm a complete mess right now and cannot think properly. All kinds of thoughts are crossing my mind. Part of me still loves her and wants to forgive her. The other is just full of disgust and hatred and wishes I've never even met her at all. I wish I could just disappear right now. Now for some comments. Commenter 1. Copies of evidence to lawyer go full no contact, serve her. Don't drink. Work out. Good luck. Commenter 2. Get proof. Get a lawyer. Do what the lawyer says. Commenter 3. Assuming an open marriage has no appeal to you. 1. Take a deep breath and start lifting weights and eating right. These will help you process the emotions in a healthy way instead of drowning in the bottle. 2. Don't say anything to her. 3. Document all evidence. 4. Talk to a lawyer first before making any moves. 5. It's probably been happening your entire marriage. Get paternity tests on your kids. Suggest 23andMe as something fun. 6. Plan your next move and execute on it like a divine masculine. Treat the divorce and custody battle like a business negotiation. Keep emotions low. 7. Remember, this is going to be extremely traumatizing to your children. Keep their mental health at the forefront always. Do not talk badly about your wife. If she tries to destroy your relationship with them or lay the blame at your feet, just stay calm. Tell them you love them, and this is between her and you, but you both love them very much, and it's nothing they did. Don't tell them about your wife's indiscretions until they're old enough to handle it, if ever. Now for the 1-month update. Thank you all for your invaluable advice and support. It has been a tremendous help during this difficult time. After my last post, my in-laws kindly offered to look after the kids while my wife was away at her seminar. They remain unaware of the turmoil I've been experiencing. I use this time to go through her diaries and take pictures of their contents. Each entry felt like a stab in the back, leaving me in a state of shock and disbelief. I just don't recognize anymore the person I thought I knew and loved for over a decade. To avoid going into too much detail, the revelations in the diaries would make any movie or TV series I've ever seen pale in comparison. She has been involved with at least 6 different men over the past 2 years. These affairs occurred not only during her so-called seminars, but also during short business trips, dinners, and other supposed work-related events. Meanwhile, I was at home, taking care of the kids and naively believing I was supporting her career. Some entries vividly describe how great these encounters were for her, all while expressing gratitude towards me for being a devoted husband and father, without a single trace of remorse. This lack of guilt and the extent of her deception make me question her emotional and mental state. While reading through the diaries, I felt an overwhelming sense of despair and was seriously contemplating unalived. In the end, I sought refuge with friends for a few days, as I felt I couldn't be alone. Otherwise, I'd do something that could never be taken back. They really supported me a lot during this time and helped me get in contact with a therapist. I'm now taking regular therapy sessions once per week. They also helped me in getting in touch with lawyers specializing in divorce. I'm also getting treatment for my STD as well. Returning home after picking up the kids from my in-laws was an emotionally devastating experience. I couldn't bring myself to smile at all. At some point, while contemplating all the possible ways I could end my life, my daughter just looked at me and saw my face. Without saying a word, she just came over and wrapped her arms around me. At that moment, I broke down, held her tightly, and burst into tears in front of her. She's my sweet angel, and the shame of having considered leaving my kids to suffer under their mother's disdain was almost too much to bear. For the first few weeks after finding out, I could barely sleep at all and had to depend on sleeping pills just to get through the nights. My motivation was at an all-time low, affecting both my home life and my work. I forced myself to continue exercising and found out it was the only thing that actually made me feel better during this time. To whoever said in the previous post that I shouldn't give up on doing exercise, thank you. You may have just saved my life. The stress intensified after my wife returned from her trip. Initially, it took all my energy to hide my disgust at her and the knowledge I had gained about her actions. I've somewhat got used to this now, but it remains emotionally draining. She did notice that something was off, but still appears to believe that I am entirely unaware of what has transpired. Her lack of shame is staggering. Just recently, she asked me to buy her the expensive gift I promised her for our 10-year anniversary, for which I made an excuse to not buy yet, despite her going into another business trip just the day after our anniversary, which was described in extremely painful detail in her diaries. To make matters worse, she was even arranging to meet her latest partner on the day of my birthday. Nowadays, I've started to feel a lot better thanks to exercise and therapy. I had never been to a therapist before in my life, and to be honest, I am regretting not having done it sooner. Despite my wife betraying me in the worst possible way, part of me still thought that maybe all of this was my fault. Maybe if I had done this, if I had put more effort into that. I blamed myself for a lot of things. My therapist helped me see through it that, while I could have done some things differently, in the end, I cannot be held responsible for the actions she chose to take, and no one deserves to be betrayed in the way I was. If I'm at fault for anything, it's for blaming myself for everything, always putting her needs ahead of my own, and trusting her unconditionally without question. While it was extremely hard for me to balance work and looking after the kids alone every time she went on any of these trips, I always let her go after convincing myself that I was doing it for her, to support her business, to let her relieve stress from being at home, that this is what a supportive husband would do, and that if maybe I had a better job or made her happier, she wouldn't feel the need to escape from home. I'd be lying if I said I'm not depressed anymore, but I'm certainly doing much better these days. Nowadays, I feel more rage rather than sadness, and it is the rage that's keeping me going. My therapist advised me to channel this rage into the things I do, which has worked surprisingly well. I talked with 2 law firms about my situation and was advised to collect more evidence, which I've been devoting myself to for the past few weeks. I've finished digitizing all of her diaries from the past 2 years, which were quite a lot. I got access to her computer and found just way too many photos, chat conversations, and documents to help my case. She's been posting all of her adventures into a very distorted private group in Facebook, to which I've also taken plenty of screenshots of. I've compiled a list of all of her intimacy partners in the diaries and have been identifying them one by one on social media, etc. I've gathered everything I could on her current intimacy partners and managed to figure out where they live and/or work. Now I'm debating whether I should confront them or not. The things I've read in these diaries are so bizarre that I thought maybe she was just writing material for some sort of twisted novel, that is, until I found all the other stuff in her computer, etc. Maybe I'm broken myself as well, but a part of me is actually enjoying this process of gathering all these tiny pieces of evidence and information, cross-referencing them with her diaries and finding everything I can about her and her lovers. Part of me wants to see her burn on social media by posting directly everything I've found out, since a big part of her business is centered around social media. But I'm refraining myself from doing so, since this would also affect both me and the kids, as well as her parents, who have been nothing but kind to me since we got married. I'm also not sure if I should bring this to light to her parents as well, since this will probably devastate them. I'm planning on confronting her after talking further with the lawyers about how to make sure to gain custody of my kids. The country I live in has a rather unfair tendency of granting custody to the mother, even if she's unfit for it, setting the terms of the divorce and child support. In any case, thank you all for the advice. A few weeks ago, I was in full despair and had no idea what to do nor how to approach the situation. Nowadays, I feel that little by little, I'm digging myself out of this hole I've been thrown into. Sorry if I don't respond to all your comments. Right now, my full attention is devoted to protecting my kids. Now for a few comments. Commenter 1. Well, let's hope you talk to your lawyer again soon. I'm not sure why you need more evidence, but you have plenty now. Have her served in public. Heck, even at a seminar she is supposedly at. Commenter 2. Don't confront. Don't let her know a damn thing until you have all of your ducks in a row. Don't post anything on social media. Don't confront any of her lovers. Just keep doing what you're doing. Let her find out when she's served. Commenter 3. What an absolute piece of shoot your wife is. Document and keep gathering information to do everything you can to get full custody of your children. Do it for them. They'll grow up and come to understand that their mother is a mentally ill intimacy worker that destroyed their family. Keep going to therapy and see a psychiatrist and get on medication if they deem it needed. You need to keep your nerve and a level head as you go through this. Meanwhile, look up Grey Rock and 180. Am I the idiot for confronting my brother's girlfriend about her creepy obsession with him since he was a kid? I want to start this off by saying that I don't think age gap relationships are inherently creepy, weird, or anything. I'm talking about a specific situation that I'm about to explain. My friend Daniel is almost 24 and has been dating his GF Jessica, 30, for nearly 6 years now. They became official 2 days after Daniel's 18th birthday, but have been knowing for much longer than that. Their parents have been friends forever, so the first time they met Jessica was 6 and Daniel was a newborn. But that's not the creepy part. According to the both of them, Jessica has had a crush on Daniel since he was in middle school. And if you do the math, you'll find out she was between the age of 17 and 20. At that time, she used to blatantly flirt with him when he was still a preteen, compliment him, get jealous if a girl his age tried to interact with him, and tell him how she couldn't wait for him to turn 18 and marry him. They are not married or engaged yet, but it seems like they are going strong, so she meant it. If that's not weird enough, they don't look their age. She looks much older, and he barely looks legal, to the point they have been mistaken for mother and son more than once. And while he refers to her as a woman, she refers to him as a kid, i.e., my BF is a good kid. Now, I might be reading too much into it, and they are both adults now, so no one can tell them anything, but to me it feels like she's into young people. Daniel is really easy to influence, and she groomed him until it became legal. I'm sure he's starting to realize I'm feeling more and more creeped out by his relationship. I don't know if I can act like I find this normal, but I also don't think it's my place to tell him. Now for a few comments. Corn-fed. You wouldn't be TA, but don't expect a good reception. If he's happy and they have family acceptance, he's not going to take your comments well, even though you're right. You could ask if the age gap bothers him and see if you can work your way in that way, but going right in and saying she's predatory will not go well. Now for the 1-month update. Context. My friend Daniel, male 24, has been dating Jessica, female 30, since he was 18, but she has been grooming him for much longer. So in the end, I did or say anything. Someone else did. I need to say, their families don't know about the grooming part, as it happened when the parents were not present. However, Daniel's sister Gemma, female 22, knows, and she is very sensitive to this topic. She was that girl in school who grew big breasts way too early and was constantly sexualized, both by our classmates and grown adults. Gemma was never too happy about her brother's relationship. She even tried to make their parents reason about this, but they never believed her. Other than some passive-aggressive comments towards Jessica now and then, she never said anything. Until she did. Gemma knows I agree with her for what concerns their backstory, so she immediately told me when this happened. She was with Daniel and Jessica, and they were talking about relationships and intimacy stuff when Jessica joked about how disappointed she was the first time she slept with Daniel, which, as you can imagine, happened the moment he was legal, because he was much bigger and hairier down there compared to what she had been fantasizing for years prior. Gemma didn't keep her mouth shut and pointed out that what she was saying was that she was more attracted to a prepubertal boy than to a fully developed man, which is creepy. Both Jessica and Daniel downplayed it. She said that she never did anything with a child because it would have been illegal. That's why she waited years before doing anything. To say this sent a chill down my spine would be an understatement. But it's not over. Later, Gemma had a conversation with Daniel about grooming. She explained what it means and made some very specific examples. Daniel disagreed because, according to this logic, Jessica would be a groomer too, which Gemma confirmed. Daniel didn't reply, but she could tell by his expression that he was thinking about it, so he might be starting to connect the dots. I don't know how this is going to evolve. Daniel is very codependent, so I doubt he will break up over this. But I think he deserves to understand the truth whether he wants to stay in that relationship or not. Now for another update. I followed some of the advice I received on my past posts. I decided to say something with the help of Daniel's sister. So I told him the story of a girl I know who was groomed by an older person, except it was actually his story with some changed details. He was disgusted by this story and agreed it sounded predatory, so I revealed the truth and pointed out it's what happened to him. He tried to defend Jessica, saying it was a different situation, so Gemma bluntly told him she's sure Jessica is indeed a child toucher. This shook him, but he was not convinced, so he decided to confront Jessica about it. She told him me and Gemma were just jealous and manipulative. She tried to play the victim, but when he asked her to look him in the eye and tell him she never had intimacy desires involving children, she couldn't. She started crying and confessed what Gemma assumed. She said she feels horrible about it, and she never acted on it. She even begged him to stay with her, or she might end up actually doing something illegal and immoral she doesn't want to do. He asked for a break and suggested she gets professional help regardless of how it will end between them. He still cares for her despite what she did. He doesn't think she's a bad person, and it's not her fault if she has a problem, as long as she doesn't hurt any child. I only partially agree. She didn't choose to be attracted to children, but she chose to groom a child for years, but it's not my place to judge. Now for a few comments. Your local planet. She can't say she's never acted on it when she did. In fact, act on it by grooming him. The fact that she also said she would do something to a minor if she's not with him is insane. She might not have chosen to be attracted to children, but she sure as hell chose to wait years for your friend instead of going and getting help. Now for the latest update. Recap. My friend Daniel, male 24, is dating Jessica, female 30. After being groomed by her from the age of 11 to 18, she made some weird comments that made me and Daniel's sister worry. And after he realized that he confronted her about it, and she admitted she's attracted to very young people, and he asked for a break despite her begging him to stay. After a few weeks apart, Jessica asked Daniel to meet her to talk, and being the kind of person who gives everyone multiple second chances, he accepted, expecting to actually have a normal conversation with her. He went to her house, and she spent the entire time begging him to go back to how it was before he found out about her tendencies. She even begged him to have a child together as soon as possible, describing how beautiful their little family would be. He, of course, said it will never be the same, and he doesn't feel like being her partner right now, let alone start a family. Well, Jessica doesn't take a no for an answer. So without getting into details, she started doing stuff to him while he told her to stop. She's quite small, so he eventually managed to get her off of him and he left. He decided to finally call it quits, luckily. I didn't expect this whole situation to escalate so much, but I'm glad he's finally aware and safer. I'm encouraging him to go to therapy because he's clearly traumatized. Daniel did report what happened. Unfortunately, police is not the best with intimacy assaults over here, so I don't know how much they will do, but I'm hopeful. Now for a few comments. She should not be having a child due to her tendencies. If your friend has proof of her admitting she likes children, he needs to go to the police. This woman is a predator and should be locked up. Clown ZRO. Not the idiot. Make sure he blocks everywhere and files a police report. Am I the idiot for refusing to let a 9-year-old join my private D&D game and causing a family meltdown? I run 2 D&D games. One I run at a local game shop. It is family-friendly, and I welcome anyone who can behave and take a shower. Second game is run at my house with me and my 4 oldest friends. We get drunk and screw around in the campaign. It's a campaign we have been running since 5e first came out and is very much built around our terrible humor. Very not public play space friendly. New player is a nice 9-year-old kid named Simon. He loves playing in my public game and found out I run another game, asked if he could join, and I told him it wasn't really open to new players. He was cool about it. Simon is a good kid. Simon's mom found out later when she picked him up and tried to force him into my other game. I had to get the owner to help me calm her down and get her to leave. Simon was in tears apologizing. I felt so bad for him. Owner told Mom if she ever set foot in his store again, he'd ban her and Simon from the store and get the police involved if he had to. She left in a hurry and almost deboned a car in her rush to leave. Simon's dad drops him off now. He came to me and the owner and begged our forgiveness. Turns out Mom wanted Simon in my game as a form of babysitting so she could go out and party with her other terrible mom friends. We told him as long as it's him dropping Simon off, there won't be any issues. He's a good kid, and I'd hate to lose our monk. Now for the 4-day update. Hey everyone, it has been pure chaos the last few days, but after everyone was so nice, I figured I'd let you guys know what has happened since it's mostly good news and should put some minds at ease. I ran into Simon's dad and his sister Anna at the store, and they invited me out to lunch to chat. Simon's doing pretty well, all things considered. Dad says he and Mom were already most of the way through the divorce process, but he and his almost ex-wife agreed to keep it quiet until they had finalized some agreements. Mom showed her butt yet again and basically admitted she didn't want Simon very often, and negotiated for some money in exchange for giving full custody to Dad with a few holiday visitations if she can make it. She's moving a few states away to live with some of her friends from college. He doubts they see her more than once a year, if that. He said it went as well as he could have hoped. He's just glad it's almost over. Auntie Anna, as Simon calls her, is Dad's sister. She's stepping in to help with Simon while Dad juggles everything. She brought him to the shop this weekend, and she hung out by me while I ran the game so she could learn. Everyone had a good time. Even got a few giggles from Anna, so I'll consider that a GM's job well done for first impressions of the hobby. Shame the first RP she had to see was me as Marty the farty lizard folk merchant, NPC that they ran into last session. Lots of hissing and farting noises out of me for 15 minutes. Simon was able to pass enough con saves to buy what the party needed from Marty, discounts in exchange for risk of poison damage, and they tricked the corrupt town guard into accidentally arresting themselves due to an elaborate performance by the bard and Simon's monk. Game went well. Anna and I talked while Simon looked at all the dice sets for an hour after the game. She's been pulled into a parent group of parents of kids in Simon's class. I guess Simon has all the other kids wanting to try playing, and since my private game is on hiatus for at least 6 months, I offered to run one if the parents were comfortable with it. I end up getting added to the group chat, and Anna's house is where we're gaming. Next day, Anna and I met up for lunch, and I helped her put together a gaming space in her living room. A few of the moms came by to drop off some snacks and to introduce themselves in person. I feel like I've been adopted into a family of families, but I don't even have a family of my own. Everyone has been great. I'm so glad Simon is surrounded by these people and not people like his mom. The kids were all very well behaved. Anna and I were a bit nervous being the chaperones for a bunch of kids, but Simon's friends are great. They all had a blast making characters and doing the test encounters I had for them. There's a girl that made certain she was always seated next to Simon and barely takes her eyes off him. She has a huge crush on him, but don't think he even realizes what's going on. It's adorable. Parents were all happy with game night, and honestly, I liked running for all kids way more than I had expected. Anna and I agreed we were fine with doing this regularly, so now Anna and I are the game masters to everyone. Also, I'm now Uncle Caleb to Simon. Not sure what I did to earn the title, and I definitely didn't get emotional when he called me that. So that's about it. I still run 2 games. I've been adopted by a 9-year-old, and I've taken over Anna's living room with minis and battle mats. Simon is an incredible little dude, and I'm glad to have met him and his amazing family, one parent excluded. Now for a few important comments. I am deeply infatuated with Anna. We've been texting pretty regularly the last few days, and I'm starting to think there's something here. Once things calm down, I fully intend to ask her on a date. Also spoke with Drew, Simon's dad, this morning, and he's doing all right. Said he'll be better in a few weeks when he's able to take some vacation. Gonna take Simon on a father-son trip for a few days. He's exhausted. Even with the reduced workload, he's just now getting time to rest. Poor guy needs it.